Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Neuro Digest show. I am your host, Sylvia Moramo Chabo from Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons. And here on the Special Needs Hangout, where we host various professionals and discuss matters special needs, and main focus being the neurodevelopmental disabilities and all the challenges that we are going through, especially now during the pandemic that is COVID-19. We have purposefully converted our Neuro Digest show so that we are able to equip you as a caregiver to be able to stay at home with your child, nurture them well, and everything continues to the best of your ability. And today we shall be having a very, very sensitive topic, and that is menstrual hygiene in girls. And we all know girls with intellectual disabilities actually have a hard time wrapping around what is going on physically, what is going on also with everything else. And we hope that today we will be able to lighten a bit of that. And we have a pro, that is Winnie, who's been doing this for a very, very long time. And we hope that you will be able to join us. We will be having also our interpreter, as usual, Maureen Maitha. Thank you for being on board with us and for supporting us in this. And we'll go straight to it. Winnie, I hope you're there with us today.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please introduce yourself so that people can get to know who we are hosting today.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is WINNIE NGALA. Teacher, and quite thank you.
Hi, Winnie. Your network is a bit lagging behind, so I hope Maureen is able to catch up, and myself. So we lost you for a minute.
Sorry that. Hi, Sylvia.
Now, yeah. Sorry?
Okay. Are you getting me now?
Yeah, but it's a bit slurred, but we'll make do with what we get. So you can get us clearly on your side?
Yes, I can.
All right, so kindly let's take it to the top. Kindly please introduce yourself so that at least our viewers can be able to get your name and what you do and for how long, so that at least we have a bit of background.
Yes, my name is WINNIE NGALA, special needs teacher at Kenya Community Center for Learning. I'm very passionate about working with children with special needs. And I've done it for quite a number of years, and I'm glad to be in the show today. Thank you.
Okay, so she says she's WINNIE NGALA and she is a special needs teacher at KCCL. For those who didn't quite get it right, so that is what Winnie said. So Winnie, tell us, I know this is one of the most sensitive topics for us as caregivers when we're talking about special needs. And when they get to around 8 or 10, we freak out trying to figure out how am I going to handle this topic? How do I even begin to start this discussion about menstrual hygiene? I know earlier on we had in our earlier episode, we had discussed puberty and how to introduce our girls to the topic about the body changes and how things are going to be about their emotions and to try and just maintain their self-esteem. And now there is this sensitive issue about menstrual hygiene that comes up more than once when you're just thinking about the entire topic. So just guide us through for a start. How do you first explain to a girl who, if a general concepts of everything else is a bit tricky, what language do we use? How do we go about it? Over to you, Winnie.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. I think the most important thing when you talk about this topic is to first of all know that girls are girls, whether they have any special need or they don't. So we start by first looking at them as girls. And then already menstrual period is a challenge to everybody, even to grown-ups. But then now we are talking about a girl who, on top of that stress that comes in menstrual period, again, has another challenge. Probably let's talk about a person with autism. That challenge of understanding yourself, of overcoming those difficult moments, those mood swings, and all that. So it's quite a challenge. But most importantly is to remember that other than the special need, the body is functioning like any other person's body. And now you treat it from that. You look at this girl as a person who is experiencing a menstrual period. It might come with cramps, it might come with mood swings, and this is added to the other challenge of maybe communication disorder, maybe social emotional imbalances and such. So very important to know, to first look at this girl as a person and imagine what any person feels about menstrual period. Then now you add to that other challenge. Thank you. Sylvia, I'm not getting you, please.
Sorry, I'm saying at what should we introduce this topic, and how do you even start having this conversation with the girl child?
With the girl child, you start having this conversation as early as possible. You could even start at the age of 6, because with children with special needs, the more you repeat a topic, the more it sticks. So you see, if you start early, you're able to talk over and over, and not just talking, demonstration, using all the form of visual aids that you can get to make them understand. Because even when you're teaching anything else, leave out periods, even if you're teaching a math concept, you still will need to use concrete objects to be able to teach that topic. So for these girls, you will need even to use videos, to even bring real pads to class and start showing them as early as possible, so that it will not be a shock when that time comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't 6 years a bit too early?
6 years is too early, but it is never too early to start. You see, when at 6 years is when you start teaching about body changes, even though it looks too early. But when you start early, even if it is just small body changes, I'm a boy, you're a girl, things like those, then you start introducing the issue of, like, where these kids, even when they're 6, they go to supermarkets. They go where they pick snacks, they go where they pick drinks. And there's this other part that is so full of pads. What are these? You can start by even explaining just that. What are these? And you'll tell them when you grow up, you'll get to know what these are and what they are used for. You see, you have started early. Not telling them, please don't look at that side. Yeah.
Okay. They usually say that, okay, I've heard that puberty starts a bit earlier for special children. Could you, is it the fact on the ground? Now that you are a teacher, and I'm sure that's something you deal with every day.
I wouldn't say there's any scientific backing to that.
Okay.
But most of the times you'll see that. But once in a while, you'll see a child who starts very early. Sometimes they start at the right time, which we say it's around 13. But then sometimes parents tend to feel like it's too early because you do not even want it to happen. So that fear that you wish your child can go up to 16 years makes 13 years look too early, which is not the case.
Okay.
So there's no scientific backing to menstrual period starting early for special needs kids.
Okay. So is there a curriculum in school that actually just helps you as teachers on how to teach our girls about menstrual hygiene?
Unfortunately, no. When you teach hygiene in everything. But now it's up to you as the teacher to go the extra mile to tutor your lesson to fit the needs of your kids. You see, like in a mainstream school, you may not need to teach menstrual hygiene so deeply because these kids already understand it. They talk about it with their parents at home and they understand. You rarely see accidents in school when it comes to menstruation in mainstream schools. For kids with special needs, they are slow processing, information processing. You have to teach it, whether it's in the curriculum or not.
Okay. So now, when you're starting this conversation, other than for me as a parent, telling the child that there is this that you should be expecting, and the body changes, as we had said earlier, we need to be telling our children that you will be expecting this. We had suggested that you could have a mirror, and maybe if there is a sibling in between the mother and maybe around 18-year-old or something like that, or even 17, and have the child you stand in front of a mirror and explain like the differences in people so that they're able to love themselves expect these changes and also embrace the fact that everyone is different in terms of growth, because we find there will be a girl who has bigger breasts, another one a smaller one, and they should be okay with how they evolve as an individual. This was in relation to self-esteem in this same topic. But then now when we're talking about now the sanitary towels, the use of the sanitary towels. So apart from going to the supermarket and mentioning like, okay, there is this item in the supermarket that you will come to need. And you have mentioned about the need of using even tactile and actual samples of the sanitary towels. So how do you purport we should have this conversation?
Okay, this conversation is best done. Of course, most of the kids, by the time they are coming to school, by the time the teachers are teaching this topic in school, they have already been taught by the parents or given a rough idea. But most of the times I've never known why parents tend to rely on teachers. I think this topic, parents think it's easier done by teachers, which I neither agree or disagree, because it depends on what they're looking at. So sometimes, like even when you're teaching math, if your child comes home with homework and you attempt to help, there's that feeling in the child that you are a mom, you are not teacher.
Yeah.
So the same thing to the topic of menstruation. It's sometimes kids who tend to get this information better from the teacher than from the parent. So whether the parents are doing it at home, still teachers will need to do it in school. I don't know if I've answered your question well.
Well, no, yes and no, because when you say that we are supposed to have started the conversation, we are waiting to be guided on actually how to start the conversation. And actually that's one of the key reasons why we're having this discussion today, because in our parents' cocoons and groups and forums that we have, there is always that discussion like, my girl is about to start and I am scared to. So if I'm a parent and you as a teacher who's already expecting us to have started the conversation, remember the fact about special needs parenting is that there is no manual. Like we don't get that heads up, like this is how this is done. And that's what we're trying to do here as Neurodigest, to just try and support our caregivers and give them a heads up and just a bit of guidance for those who've gone before us, and also
sure.
So guide us. These words, how you say it. Do you have to like pull out the sanitary? how do you explain? Because you remember, even when they're growing up, point of going to the potty, we have some of the children, especially autistic kids, who fear it because of the fear of something is coming out of me, right? And
Sure.
so you tell me, how do you do that practically with a girl?
Okay, how we do that? Number one, the topic of menstruation is a sexuality issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime you're teaching anything to do with sexuality, the body parts, these are my body parts. For example, you can even go to class and draw a frame of a person on the board.
Okay.
Maybe the head, a stick for the body, a stick for hands, like that. And then you tell kids to take turns. You give them the pen or the chalk, if that's what you use. You tell them, fill in what is missing on the board. Fill in what is missing in the picture. Fill in one part and tell us what it is used for. So I'll come there and fill in the eyes. And I tell you, eyes are for seeing. Eyes are for looking at letters and I'm reading. You fill in the hand and tell me what it is used for. You draw the breasts and you tell me what they're used for. What are they for? They are for, when you grow up, they are for feeding the baby. They are for giving you a good shape. You draw the legs. They are for walking. So you fill in all those. If they are living now, that's a good starting point. What is it for? What are some of the things that the first one will be, and then now that's a good starting point to tell them when you are a certain age. Remember, now we have started before they even gotten there. Now, when you reach the age of 10 going up, one time you'll realize, other than susu coming out of it, blood will come out of it. And this is very normal. It shouldn't shock you. But the first thing when that happens, you let me know. And this is what, even if I'm not around, is what to do. And here we have some pads. What are they for? They are for stopping that blood from flowing down your legs. Then how do we use it? At this point, you must have a panty to demonstrate the use. And you never take anything for granted. Even opening that packet of pads, you think it's obvious to everybody. Yeah. It is not. That is even a lesson to teach them how to open it. Even to how to open now the pad itself, how to peel that gum pad. You never take that for granted. So as we demonstrate this, we do step by step every part of doing that, including when it is soiled, how do you remove it? How do you dispose it? How do you cover it before you throw it? And what happens if you dispose it without covering? Things like those. So you never take anything for granted. You go to every simple detail that you may not go with another child who does not have a challenge.
Okay. Yeah. Then how often, now that you said you have to do this over and over again, how often do you have to do that in class?
Okay, like most schools, like where I teach, we do it once a week. Okay. We have a self-care lesson every week. But for some,
Winnie, I think your network has gone a bit. We can't hear you. It's dry. It's
so these are class where you find
hello?
The teacher chooses to do that. Like, so you're doing it once a week, you do it for all the girls in the school. If you in your class you have a girl who.
Hello? I think we have lost Winnie. internet challenges, the new era. So anyway, that was Winnie, a teacher at KCCL, who was taking us through about menstrual hygiene. And she was saying that in school, currently they have to do the classes once a week in general when they're having the self-care sessions. And yet, if you have a girl, if I was allowed to complete the sentence for her, is if you have a girl that you know is on her periods, then in your class, then now you'll have to have a separate one-on-one session. I hope I am right with that, but I believe that is the right way. What it is that she wanted to say just before we lost her, and I hope she will be getting access to us soon. And I can see she's there. Winnie, are you still there? I can see you, but I cannot see you. Winnie, are you still with us? Hello. All right, so yes, so like for those who are joining us, thank you very much. Yes, this is Neuro Digest, courtesy of Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons, where we strive to help caregivers and equip them with skills and knowledge on how to be able to help their children and ensure that they live a near normal life to the best of our ability. Remember, we have a lot of responsibilities as caregivers, but we want to make it easier for you, because like as I said earlier, you find that in the special needs space, we never get a manual, and it's not as easy as it might look, because all our children are different, all of them are able differently, and all of them have their own different strengths and their own challenges, but we love them the same and we embrace them the way they are. I believe when I listen to fellow caregivers discussing about menstrual hygiene, that's the point I say, thank God I have boys. But although boys also come with their own pack, so you have to just learn how to do it. I know I wanted to request, if we have any parents in there joining us today and you have gone through this and you would like to just give us a tip of how did you handle it? What did you do? The house rules are, if you'd like to speak and engage with us, kindly you raise your hand and we shall give you the opportunity. There is also the chat where you can go there and drop in a question. If you have any question for our guest, that is Winnie, you can drop in a question and we'll make sure it is answered. And if you have any comments, still the same in the chat box, we'll be able to help you. Remember, we are live on Facebook, on our Facebook group, that is Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons, and also streaming also on my own personal page, that is Sylvia Mura Muchabo, your host. Winnie, I can see you. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
So we lost you when you were saying that if you do it in general as the school during the self-care, but then when you have a girl or girls in your class and you know that they are on their menses, take it from there.
Yes, you will still have to take them aside and explain to them. You may not even be teaching them, you might be out. So most of the times you'll find that they have understood some part and there's a bit that you need to explain more. Sometimes you'll find they got the concept, but most importantly is to keep reminding them. Most of them, what they forget is to time themselves. You see, like a grown-up, you will know when to go and change your pad. But for these girls, you will need to remind them, hey, remember at break time, after you take your tea, take your pad, go change. So you see, you know when they will need to change, because that one they might forget. When they get busy in other things, they might forget to go and change. But the changing bit, most of them get it. After you teach them like 3-4 times, they get it.
Okay. So does that mean, or rather, this is my assumption, like I said, I'm a mother to boys, special needs boys. So this is one of those things that I believe is what has to happen. So the parent has to know the dates, to keep track of the dates. The teacher has to keep track of her dates, right? Or how do you?
Yes. No, the days. Sorry, days, the parents, usually we have a communication diary. So it's important for parents to communicate to the teacher, to tell them, so-and-so today is on her menses and I've packed pads in her bag, something like that. Or she has packed. Actually, you don't have to pack for them. You by this time, you train them slowly by slowly to pack what they need at time. So of course, it's also important to pack like 2 extra panties because accidents do happen. So the parent will communicate that then, because the child may not communicate that. And you don't want to learn that for after she has soiled the dress. No, you want to know in advance. It's very embarrassing, and you also don't want them to be ridiculed by their friends. So it's important for the parent to communicate, and then the teacher takes up from there. And then at the end of the day, the teacher can say that, today she was able to change her pad twice independently. There's that constant communication, which is very, very important. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to just imagine. And then now, if let's say there is one that I always struggle to understand. What about the girls who are on wheelchairs? And they can, I don't know, if are they able to do it themselves, or do you teach them how to do it, or do you have to support and take them to the restroom when they need to change?
There is, at a certain point, you will, depending on the level of the challenge, you may have to do it for them. But most of them, because of privacy, parents organize who to do that for them. Like, a child is scared because that, for the sake of privacy, you don't want your daughter to be changed by everybody, because these are grown up. So just the way you wouldn't want anyone to see your other daughter naked, still the same thing. So you entrust them with one person, and that's a person who will help you to change your girl. But even there's still some level of independence that you try to help these kids with. You'll want at least this girl to do something. It's not you are doing everything for them. Yeah. So internet again.
No worry, we will make this very important.
Yeah.
So if the internet wants to come between, we will still go on with the show.
Yeah. Sure.
So the other thing I'm just wondering, so do you give them a timer, like after every hours you check, or do you just tell them you need to change after a certain period of time? Just that's to prevent the accidents that we were saying, so as to also safeguard their self-esteem, because we know for all of us, for ladies, sometimes it can just be an oopsie, by the time you get to realize you've messed yourself. So how do you handle them? How do you cover them to just ensure that even if it happens, their self-esteem doesn't get messed up because of the incident? And do you involve boys in the class when you're discussing this?
A very interesting question there. How we a lot of sense. After you take your tea, that makes sense. And after lesson 2, that makes sense. But if you say after everyone now, they may not even know what you're talking about. So somebody will say, oh, I've just finished my tea. I need to go and check. I want to change. Or it's the end of lesson 2, I'll need to go. So you use a language that they can understand. Issue of whether we involve boys, depending on the class that you're, if you're having a girls talk, you won't have boys. If you are teaching about body changes as a topic in class, every member of class will be in. So it's somehow.
I'd like to throw a challenge.
And also, how do we safeguard? Yeah. Pardon?
No, just repeat that. Sorry, lost you for a second. You say if you're teaching them about body languages, the boys are there. But when you're doing about menstruation, then the boys are not included. But I would like to throw a challenge at you. Right now, we're talking about her periods being, and the period, and to cut the stigma associated with periods, we're saying that we should include boys in the conversation so that it is easier for that father to be able to know that my girl needs sanitary towels and put it in the budget for the household, and also to avoid what is being seen right now, where we're hearing that girls go to ask for assistance in areas where poverty is high, that they go to ask for assistance to buy sanitary towels, and they take advantage of them. So wouldn't it be great to at least have that conversation with the boys, even if it's one of the lessons, so that they get to understand and it doesn't feel like a foreign thing, just in case they see it or they stumble upon a sanitary towel or a girl messes. We believe growing in a community, all of us need to be aware of what's
going on. Okay, I think you didn't get my point. What I said, are you getting me? Am I clear? Are you getting me?
No, we lost you for a second. Maybe that's where also I lost in translation. Yes, just repeat it. Hello?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, hello?
Yes, I can hear you well.
You're getting me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So what I said was, when you are teaching about menstrual periods as a lesson in class, everybody is there and you teach all those details. But when you're having a girls' talk, it's a chance for the girls to ask you a few questions, a few personal questions. Because in class, nobody will ask a very personal question. You have taught it in class, and it's like when a girl is on her period, because most of them, we will not look at it as a natural thing. Remember, these boys also have their challenges. So during the time for girl talk, we also have a boy talk going on concurrently with all the boys. So when you are teaching in class, you do not separate. There's nothing you leave out. There's nothing you leave out when you're teaching that is mixed, boys and girls. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, all right. Now, at least, thank you for expounding. See, internet challenge. You lose one, it changes everything from there.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
So, moving on, let's just touch a bit on sexuality. At the same time, when you're doing this, do you explain about, like, in case you miss your period, do you teach them about contraception? Do you teach them about sex? Or is that, how do you do it? So that they understand the relation, what it means getting your menstrual period and what effects in case, something else happens. How do you also deal with that? Are you there?
When you, yes, I am. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so when you teach about periods, you also have to explain, yes, why do we even get periods? Good, so that if we get to a certain age, this happens. And this is now in new things. Your body can now, you can now get pregnant if you did sex. So we do explain. Of course, it will be a very complex thing. And also remember, you know, especially kids with special needs, they are very loving and they love kids. So you have also to be not counterproductive. Like if you tell a child who is so passionate about babies that now if you have sex, you're going to get a baby. And you might think it's a good thing. So you need to be very, very careful how you explain your point. You have to follow it with another point that too young, you're not ready to bring up a kid. So you have to keep off sex.
We lost you, Winnie.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you say, well, we lost you at the point you say you have to explain the side effects that they have to keep off. Was that?
Yes, are you hearing
Yes.
me now?
Yes, we are.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, what I was saying is that, very good. What I was saying is, are you getting me?
Yes, what you're saying is the point at which you got silent.
Well, I'm so frustrated.
Don't worry, don't
Okay,
worry. It
so
happens. It happens. So let's just
okay.
don't worry. When it goes down, we give it a few
Okay.
minutes to get back up and we run with it.
Yes, what I'm saying is once you explain about periods,
Mm-hmm.
you also explain what that means, because it's not just a bad thing happening to you. There's what it means. It means that now you are ready to be a mother. You can, but what I was saying again is that you've got to be very careful, because most of the kids in Spain are very passionate about babies.
Okay.
So you see, you can tell them, now that you've started getting your periods, you can get a baby. You have sex. And then what that means, what have sex? So that I can get pregnant. So it can be counterproductive further and explain that you are not ready to be a mother because you're still in school, you're still a child, you're still living with your mother. Babies are for married people or something like that. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to explain.
Okay, so let me just recap that because we lost you at some point. So you were saying that in the process of explaining that someone has the menstrual periods now, it clearly means that they're able to get children. But because of the fact that some of our special needs children could be very passionate about children, we also need to mention that they're not capable to raise children, it's not the right time, and that children come with responsibilities, and we leave sex to those who are married, right? Now I'll take you to the next step now. Discussing course now. How do you handle that when you're trying to explain them and you've told them yes, there is sex that can lead to getting a baby? So how do you tackle that question of like, okay, so what is sex in that?
Apparently, Sylvia, when you start talking about sex, you realize it's not like you're starting introduction, an idea or a rough idea of what you're talking about. Okay. So depending on the age of the children you're dealing with, there's still a way you will explain the topic of sex. And some
Really?
Point, you realize that you will start from what they know. You'll start by finding out what they know. Okay. Even as a parent, no, without killing a thread, like you are questioning it.
Okay. Hello. I lost you for a second, Winnie, again. So, okay. Now, there was a question that had been shared earlier. Are you with us, Winnie? So that at least I make sure you're with me. Hello. 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, Winnie is still there. Winnie, I can't see you on my audience, and I am seeing you there. I hope we'll be able to get you back sooner rather than later. Trust you me, having this conversation has taken us 2 months to just find the right person who will give you the right information so that you are able to know how to handle your special needs child when it comes to matters puberty, sexuality, and menstrual hygiene. Just to recap for those who are joining us right now, we're discussing with Winnie Ngala, who's the special needs teacher at KCCL, on how they help us as caregivers to elaborate and explain menstrual cycle to our special needs girls in the school and how to go about it. And she said, first you have to start very early. It's never too early. And the appropriate age they look at is starting with the basics. That is at 6 years of age. Remember, for special needs children, they need for you to keep repeating this over and over again for them to grasp the concept and for them to really understand what it is. And remember, side to side as you're discussing that, you shall be discussing the body changes. You shall be discussing self-esteem. You shall be discussing also the puberty process. And this is something we had handled for both the boys and the girls earlier in our previous shows. So that's where we are at. So we are discussing now how you have to really, really clearly state, this is periods, this is when it comes, this is the essence of why you're getting periods in the process of your body changing, and how else you should be careful in terms of, as you're talking about sex, as you're introducing sex being something that is normal and at the same time has its side effects of actually a child being born out of that. You have to be very clear to a special child that they should not be having sex because they're not ready for it, they're not capable at that time to raise a baby. So ensure you have proper guidance as you're having this, because remember, the minute you raise something that is new, they will be curious and they want to know, they have all these questions. So we are saying that you should be having this conversation both at home as the teachers are also supporting you in school. And the other thing is, during the menstrual cycle, communicate with the school, let them know that your daughter is actually having her menses, and you keep the diary, keep tabs of her dates, and make sure you pack on, if it's school going dates, make sure you pack for her a change of panties and also a change over for sanitary towels, and so that the teachers will be able to prompt for that time for her to change to avoid accidents. And I know many parents are also wondering when this happens and how you will know how to handle it. The trick is start early. I'm sure the other question we have had, many parents asking, is about contraceptions and if it is right to actually do that, like to take pills to stop the periods because of the fear of having to handle that. I don't know if Winnie is back to help us with this very difficult question. Winnie, are you back?
I'm back.
Good.
I'm back, Sylvia.
Yes, you have the option.
Yes.
So
Yes.
So your advice on that?
Now, my advice to that, issues contraception is very sensitive, because of cultural differences. There are people who will believe in that. There are others who will think that it should never ever happen. But in my opinion, I think that is best left to the parent to decide whether they think their child deserves to go through all these stress that comes with menstruation. And also, there's also another way of looking at it. Mm-hmm. Maybe the challenge that the child has does not stop them from going at a certain point, get married and get families. And
we lost you, my dear.
Am I back now?
Now you're back, yes.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm saying is that the issue of whether to get your child, to stop your child's periods medically, I think it's best decided by parents. A teacher will not be in a position to decide that, because we have a lot of cultural differences, and it's not something you want to decide for anyone. But also to remember that some children may not even be so having a very severe challenge. We have had kids graduate from special schools and get married and start families. And at least I know some. So it's very delicate. You do not want to stop your child's life. Maybe they are ready to, maybe God created them in a way that they can still get their own families. So you do not want to be the one who stopped your child from having a family. But then, I like I've said, I think the decision is best left to the parent.
Okay, yeah, I hear you, because that was one of the questions that came in. Actually, what a parent had asked is it right to actually remove the womb for a special child in fear of having to go through the menstrual cycle? And also, our girls are very susceptible to rape. So that's the other thing that scares people. I know in the recent past with the current COVID situation, we have had very many cases of our children being taken advantage of. And I will not lie, that is a scary thing for everyone, but you can imagine now for a special child if that happens. So that is one of the very heavy questions. But like I agree with you. That is entirely to the parent, but we would like at least give your child a chance to live a normal life, because they actually can live a normal life, right?
And also to add on that, looking at the issue of rape, when you take your child through this process of removing the uterus and such, because they might be raped and get a child, I also look at it like getting a baby is not the worst that can happen from rape. You can get diseases. So that's another way of looking at it. You may stop the baby, but still there are diseases which scare me more than a baby. Yeah.
That is actually
so it's a very delicate balance.
So we have another question here. How do you teach the menstrual topic to girls with low comprehension and the non-verbal ones?
Visual videos and pictures are the best way to teach anything, not just menstruation, to kids with low comprehension. Pictures speak much louder than words. Videos speak even louder than pictures. So nowadays in YouTube, you get very simple videos that can help you teach a topic to a child. But also remember what I said in my very opening remarks, that repeating it, starting early and repeating is the way to go, and not giving up. Like any other skill, even toilet training for some kids is hard. It takes up to 6 years, and parents are still patient to keep training. It's not easy, but it happens. It succeeds with time.
Okay. Right, that is quite, that is also very helpful. Now, so visuals. Now, the visuals, I'm trying to just imagine how I would actually do a visual on menstrual hygiene. Is there like a link or a page you can share where we can be able to get these resources? Because I'm sure it's something, the same way we teach them on their calendars and the routine using the picture exchange programs, right? I believe that's what you're saying. We should do the same also with the menstruation. So where do we, other than the videos for the where can we get that communication support?
Now, unfortunately, I have a kit that I use in school about teaching life skills, which teaches all the topics in life skills, but it's a box that has, it's a tool that has cards with pictures and explanation of everything. Now, but we can still improvise. You can draw the pictures, or you can actually download pictures. With the internet, it's possible to get many things. You can download a picture of a girl having periods. You can download a picture of a pad. You can download a picture of a girl taking a shower. You can use videos and such. It calls for a lot of creativity, because if we rely on the syllabus and the books that are provided, you will not get that one. I can assure you, there's no enough resources to teach functional skills. So calls for a lot of creativity.
I just so wish that you actually had those photos, so that at least we would be able to get a visual of how it looks like, and at least a parent would know what to look out for. Because I'm trying to imagine various, like the graphics I get is not the same graphics someone else will get, you know. So just to find what would be appropriate, you know, because I trust you me. Even as a menstrual hygiene advocate, I'm trying to.
Yeah, we must also we must also keep in mind that we do not have very many resources, because I can tell you the tool, the kit that I'm talking about was imported from Australia for teaching life skills. So, but still, I believe we can improvise.
Well, there is a difference between improvisation and the actual real thing that has been vetted.
There are pictures, though.
Like, some of these images can be very gory. So I'm just trying to think
I
of
know.
that one must be something that they have actually thought through. They've looked at how appropriate the visual is for a parent.
Yeah.
You can imagine the first time you see a photo or something, you know, it can do two things. You either understand or you get too scared, you don't want to go there. And also, you don't want to see.
Unfortunately so. But and also to use now real things. If you're talking of sticking a pad on a panty, now use the real things, not pictures this time.
Okay.
A real panty and a pad.
Okay.
And you demonstrate how to remove the cover, how to peel, how to stick it, which side comes where.
Mm-hmm.
You never take anything for granted. Like I said, everything you have to explain.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll be amazed. They'll get it. They'll get it. They get it.
The power of special children is just so amazing. We most of the time we think they cannot get it, but they actually do get it. Play your part and just like keep repeating, as Winnie has said, as teacher Winnie has taught us today. Repeat, 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 and in the end, you will actually get that. We will find the children grasping what it is, and they'll get to a point they can do it on their own. And with the heavy questions, don't limit their lives. Don't be the first one to put contraceptions on your child, and yet maybe they can comprehend and you know, make some of these decisions. Because sometimes it feels like we are infringing on their human rights. That is a different topic altogether, right, Winnie?
Yes, that's a different topic. Yeah.
And to our viewers on Facebook or also on the chat here on the Zoom call, if you have any other questions, kindly do post them so that we can have that discussion as we are looking at time also. And we have someone saying on our Facebook page, they say, thank you very much. That the topic is very important and relevant. So that's to you, Winnie. Thank you. And I'm sure many parents are like, oh, Fuchs, at least I have an idea of what to look forward to. Let me just pull your leg a bit. Just tell us, what scares you the most as a teacher and in this space of menstrual hygiene and when you're discussing sexuality with girls?
Oh, what scares me most?
Yeah.
Number one, what scares me most is to have a girl who did get her menses in school when they didn't know it was coming, and then the boys, being boys, ridicule her, and you know how long you take to build a child's self-esteem, and it drops just like that.
Yeah.
It's very scary. You do not want that to happen at all. Because much as boys still understand this, girls, they will get ashamed. Even if no one is ridiculing you, you will still feel so ashamed of yourself, and that drops your self-esteem even in other areas, and you start feeling like you don't quite belong. Because we know kids with special needs, sometimes they really love being appreciated. So if the boys look and snare, that kills their esteem completely, a lot, and it takes time to build it up again.
Okay, someone just asked a question. How would you rebuild a girl's self-esteem in case that happens in a public place, that they end up having a stain from their menstrual period?
You first start by telling them what has happened is very normal, and it happens to so many people. You never want them to think they're the only ones. So you must emphasize that that happens. It was an accident, and you know what? Actually, we call them accidents. So that.
We lost you, Winnie. Winnie, are you still there? Technology. Or is it my side? Maida, my interpreter, can you hear Winnie?
Hi, Sylvia, you're not getting me?
Sorry. Again, technology took over, and I think it actually me out. I was not hearing, and then all of a sudden I lost all of you at the same time. So kindly just recap for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, you want me to repeat what I'm saying?
Yes, kindly, because I missed out on
Yes, yes. I said, if that happens in public, definitely it will embarrass that girl. But the first thing you do is to reassure them. You reassure them that this was an accident, and you must let them know it's an accident. Accidents, what is the characteristics of accidents? They don't say when they are coming, they happen anywhere, and they happen to anybody. And you can even tell them it even once happened to me, even if it's a makeup story. Let them know that it happens to grown-ups, not just to them. It happened to me, and this is what I did, and I did not kind of care what people thought because it is normal. Yeah.
Okay. Bingo. Thank you for that. Because at least now it all matters how you package it as you're trying to lift her up from where she is, right? Okay, that's very, very important. Now, the other thing I would like for you to just guide us. I know last time we had we had a male trying to handle for us the sexuality part, and there's some questions that were a bit difficult. And I remember when you're talking about explaining the different body parts, how would you advise, other than just referencing, making sure we use the actual names when we are talking about the body parts, like do not rename what the vagina is into something else that is coded within the family, just in case you need to identify something in case something happens. What would you guide us on how to do it? Like, how do you explain these are breasts? I remember you said they have different functionalities. So take us through that, the body changes. Yes. How do we handle the body changes explanation?
Okay, at the at the age where you are teaching about body changes, those children already are old enough to have some comprehension. So what you tell them is you don't rename anything. You just tell them what they are. These are my breasts. Show me yours. They touch. If it is the vagina, they want to call it private part, it's okay, but let them call it by its name. It's down there. And what are the functions? Because everybody part has a function. So you let children know everybody part has a function. So you name these parts by their names, and of course, as you talk about menstruation, you tell them that's a function. The blood comes through the vagina, and it comes at a certain age. So not everybody, not every small kid will experience that. At a certain point, just the way breasts come at a certain point, even this blood will come at a certain point in your life. It doesn't start from the word go. And it starts at different age, different times for different people. Again, they don't start comparing themselves. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Sawa. And then the whole thing, there is one question about the mood swings that, of course, normally we have the meltdowns. Now, top it off with now the mood swings that come with periods and the period pains. How do we go about that?
Okay, the trick that we use as teachers, that time when you know this child is on her menses, you are the most friendly teacher because you do not want anything else on top of what you already know. So that is the time you bring this child close to you. You support them as much as possible. They'll get the mood swing, but you can counter it very fast with a joke, and you be very, very friendly. Other kids will notice that you are giving too much attention to one person. We get blamed for that so many times by the other kids. But it doesn't matter because it is for 2-3 days. So be it. After that, the child will be able to cope like everyone else, and you won't give extra attention at the expense of the other kids. But bringing that child close to you and reassuring them and supporting them as much as possible and talking about it and how normal it is just a normal body process. Just the same way when you're going to the toilet to pee, it's a normal body process. Yeah, and you try as much as possible, and also to protect this child from what annoys. Like if you know this child gets very annoyed by noise in class, that's the time you make sure your class is quiet.
Okay.
Try as much as possible to give them what they need at that time. Of course, mood swings are mood swings, and sometimes when people are moody, they don't even want you to talk to them, but let them know that you know how they are feeling. You empathize.
Okay, so we should be doing the same also at home. We have
Exactly.
to learn to tell the difference of the meltdowns and actually when they're having PMS, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now we have a question, and it says, Miss Winnie, could you kindly explain to us how to make them understand why some body parts are called private? Now this is about boundaries. Just touch on boundaries.
Yes. That's a actually, that's our topic about what is private and what is public.
We are compressing your 1 month of class to this few minutes
Yes,
that we have.
yes. Private, the reason it is very important for children to know that some body parts are private. What happens when a property is private? Not everybody is allowed there. Not everybody can touch it. Not everybody can see it. So it's important for children to know that there are parts that are called private. They are called that because they need to be covered. They need to belong only to you. You cannot, even yourself, you cannot touch them in public because that's not a public thing. There are things you don't do you don't touch your private part in public because it is private. You touch it in a private place, like you go to the washroom, you might not avoid touching it, yeah? So there are things you don't do in public, and the same thing, your private parts are private because they only belong to you, or maybe your mom can see a private part because she is your mom. Everybody is allowed to do that.
Okay. All right. Wow. And that also comes with when we are teaching them about
whatever you do, even if you are making about
distance, like distance. Who do I hug? Who do I, how do you allow body contact? How do you just take us through that now, apart from the private public, the body contact? Because we know there are people who could fondle them wrongly, and we would like for our girls to be able to communicate that so and so touched me inappropriately. Yeah, so appropriate behavior.
Yes, you see now, like when you teach about private and public, we have said private means it belongs to me. Nobody should see it. Nobody should touch it. Nobody should play with it because it is private. It is mine alone. So if someone wants to shake your hand is public, but your breasts are private. You explain what is private and what is public. So when it comes to hugging, sometimes it's not even who to hug, even how to hug.
Yeah.
Because these children, they love hugs so much. Sometimes they even hug you as a teacher and you feel that was inappropriate. So you address it at that point. You tell them, when you hug, it's not okay to rub your body to hold me so tightly and put your body on mine so tightly. That is wrong. You just hug me a bit, or sometimes you tell them you can hug me from the side. It doesn't have to be from the front. So that is one way we use. And also it's also very delicate because they are so loving and they are so passionate. So you feel like you are offending them by refusing their hug. So you've got to be also very careful. That's why you tell them, it's okay, you can hug me from the side. It also feels so good when you hug me from the side, so that you don't also offend them by refusing their hugs. It can also crush them, you know that.
Yeah.
We don't want them to feel any form of rejection.
Yes. But at least at the end of it also you explain that it's for their own good, right?
Yes.
Especially
and also
non-verbal, they're the ones who are mostly taken advantage of.
Yeah, and you also show them the circle of friends. There are people like family. You can hug them. They can hold you. They can undress you because they are like when you're going to bed, you need to be helped. But when it comes to other people, other friends, even though they are your friends, there are things they shouldn't do to you. Strangers should not even be near you at all. So there is what to do with the family. There is what to do with the friends. And there is what you're not supposed to do at all. You're not supposed to even go talking to strangers. So by the time you're talking to someone, what's their name? Oh, you know them. Is he your neighbor? Is he your friend? Does your mom know him? Things like those. So if your mom does not know this person, it's a high time to start keeping off.
Okay. So that means now we also have to teach them about the relationships, right? the
Yeah,
relationship they have, and also the spaces like the toilet, the bedroom. Close the door. Why you close the door? That is their spaces, because that is their
yes,
safety net, for lack of a better word, right?
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're teaching about private, that's why we tell them, how come when you're in the toilet, you always shut the door?
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever you're doing there is private business.
Yes.
So you do not want people to see you when you're doing your private thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing, you don't sleep with your bedroom open. It is your space. That's where you dress. That's where you remove your clothes and put on others. So it's that private space where you want to be alone, or with a close person who is helping you.
Mm-hmm.
We also don't want them to send away their moms and their aides.
Yes,
So you tell them those ones are allowed.
You have to be
Let them,
very categorical in whatever it is
yes.
saying. Yes.
Yes, you actually have to explain everything. You have to explain what you mean by every word that you say. And that is what saves the day. That's what works a bit for us. So you explain everything. So yes, your bedroom is private. Mom is allowed in, but no one else. Do not let your uncle or your auntie or other people in unless mom allows them to come in.
Okay.
And we also know that kids may not live with parents forever. So much as we want them to see the part that mom plays, we also want some independence. Even without mom, there are people you won't allow in your bedroom. Even if mom was not home, as people, you should also have what we call defend yourself. Servant focus is also another topic for another day.
No problem. Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any question on our chat. And 1 second, let me just check on our Facebook Live. We also don't have a question. I believe now that means that you have done a very, very, very good job in breaking this down for the caregivers and the parents. And also the other thing that had crossed my mind was how when you're teaching them how to dispose of a sanitary pad, do you show them, do you give them the options that are available?
Yes, we do. We teach them how to dispose the sanitary pads using because we do it in school and we have the bins in school. We actually teach them from the washroom. You go to the washroom, you've removed your pad and you're putting another one. You take tissue, you roll your pad, the used one, and you step on the bin to open, because that's what we have. You put it and you wash your hands, step by step. Yeah, you analyze the task bit by bit, task analysis. So yeah, that's what we do. But we also tell them that there are other places where you go to a place where there's a pit latrine, but we cannot assume that everywhere there's a bin. So you throw it inside the pit latrine. If there are other kind of bins that you don't step on, that you open with your hands, you open, but you also do it carefully. You don't want to touch a lot of germs there. You open, you put. We give them all that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I believe we have learned a lot within that 1 hour of our session. And I would like to say thank you, Winnie, for making the time. And we are glad that you're back and fit as a fiddle, and you are able to support us through this, because it's one of the very delicate topics that we were looking forward to having at this time. So that, let's recap that. Parents, start early. Make sure your girl understands that their body will be changing, this will be happening, and do it tactile, visual, videos. Use all the support that you can. Start at home so that it's also easier for the teacher. Don't wait for the teacher. It could be too late, because if the periods come before they have the lessons, and our children need that repetition for them to actually embrace and understand what is going on. So start early, teach them about space, teach them the side effects of why they're having the menstrual cycle, and if this happens, what will happen? And don't forget, if you're talking about sex, you have to be very clear when you mention about babies and clarify that it's not the time now for them to have babies, because we have those who are very attached and love babies, and you might just be introducing a new problem. Right, Winnie?
Yes, sure.
So in light of that, be careful with every language, every new word you introduce, break it down to the latter, like down to the last drop. The sequel of how to open a pad, how to use it, why you do what, don't forget that part. And we have a lot of thank yous on our chat, and I would like to extend the same to you, Winnie. As Andy speaks, we are very grateful here at Neurodigest. We're here to support you as caregivers and ensure we equip you with knowledge and skills of how to raise your special needs child. And I am seeing INM was saying that was an amazing, great talk, and thank you, Winnie. And he or she says that we emphasized on girls today, so we need another session for boys. I think INM, you missed the boys session. We had it last month when we discussed puberty in boys and sexuality. We were honored to actually have Dr. Onala and Mr. Mwangi Asa from Kestrel Manor, but not only is lost. If you go to our Facebook page, you will find it there. And if you go to our YouTube channel, so if you have not subscribed, kindly please click the button and say subscribe on our YouTube channel. That is Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons. And it's right here behind me. Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons. You can follow us on Twitter. That is Andy Speaks 4, the number 4. And on Instagram, it is Andy Speaks. And there you will be able to join us in the discussions about special needs, policy, inclusion, what's going on in the world, in the special needs world, and some encouragement for those who feel like my child is not catching up with milestones. And speaking of which, next week, same time, same place, we shall be hosting a pediatric neurodevelopmental and a pediatrician who focuses on the development of special needs child. So she will tell us the actual right word to say so that I don't just give you the wrong thing. So that will be Dr. Susan, and she'll be guiding us on what do you expect of your child and how to rehabilitate them also so that they can catch up with their milestones. So especially for those parents with children with cerebral palsy, this one is just for you so that you don't feel pressured. And even for those with autism, if he's not talking, it's not the end of the world. We've had children talk at 10, at 5, and it's never too late. Take your child as they are, embrace them, and walk the journey. And we will be here to support you where we can as fellow caregivers, and also here at Andy Speaks. We'll always have you at the back of our mind. I have been your host, Sylvia Moramu Chabu, and here at Andy Speaks, we'd say bye, and don't forget self-care. Thank you, Maureen Maida, our sign language interpreter. Always, we appreciate you for always being there and setting the time to interpret so that we also don't leave out, because inclusion and equity is one of the key areas that we focus on here. And thank you to Science TV, and for those of us those who are joining us also on Facebook Live, thank you. And we hope to see you next weekend, same time, same place here on Neurodigest with me, Sylvia Moramu Chapo. Until next week, thank you, and thank you, Winnie, for joining us once again.
You're most welcome, Sylvia.
All right, have a fabulous weekend. Enjoy the evening. And don't forget to love you so that you can be able to have the energy to take care of your special needs child. Thank you.